Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the District 5 Advisory Board meeting. Appreciate you coming, especially on a holiday week, I guess. A lot of people take it off all week, I think. So JB Johnston, the council member for District 5. And I allow my take turns, rotate, taking turns being chair. And today we have Sean Ballman, who will be chair. I'll turn it over to Sean.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order for the board members. Have you had a chance to review the agenda? So do we want to approve?
Move to approve.
Okay, Rachel approves and Dave seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, that motion to approve the agenda is approved. And now we'll go on to the approval of the minutes from our last board meeting on June 3rd. Does anybody have a chance to review? And does anybody have any corrections that they would like to make? Seeing,
Move to approve and then adding Teresa, you took excellent notes during that lengthy meeting. It was like. Move to approve.
all right, Rachel approved and Jennifer seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Seeing no opposition, the minutes are approved from June 3rd. We'll move on to our first agenda. We have no scheduled items. Does anyone from the public have a topic they would like to stand up and speak about at this point? Seeing none, we will move on. I recommend to receive and. Oh, sorry, JV is going to give us a little bit of information first.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. First of all, I'd like to address something had about a month ago. We had a budget workshop. And during that workshop, it had 4 levels of things to cut. And basically the first level was stuff you should be doing anyway. Second level was stuff you should be doing anyway. And third level got into a little bit more deeper cuts, such as library, things like that would hurt citizens and services. And those first 3 levels of cuts were $3.5 million. And we were facing a $13 million budget deficit in 2026. 24 and 25, they're balanced. $13 million deficit in 26. So that covers $3.5 million of it. Still at $9.5 million. And it was police, fire, roads, pension, basically all the stuff you never want to touch. And I made the comment, we need to look at all options, including fire. And the fire union took that opportunity to say that I said, I want to cut 42 firemen, which I absolutely did not say that. Absolutely did not say that. So I just want to clear that up and let other people know that I've got it. If anyone would like to have the meeting, link to that meeting, what I actually said, contact me or Teresa. Be glad to send it to you. So I just would like things. I didn't know in politics that people could lie and get away with it. So that's a rude awakening, but apparently that's the case. So anyway, so this got me used to that, I guess. So anyway, I last things I want to cut is police and fire. Believe me, absolutely last things I want to cut. You can't cut pension. And nobody wants to cut roads, so we have to figure something out. So I don't think anybody wants to raise taxes either, although a couple people said they did want to raise taxes. So we'll have to figure it out. So anyway, just want to clear that up. Second thing is Park Elementary School Board voted to give the city the option to sell Park Elementary for $1. We'll vote on that tomorrow. I think it's a great opportunity. I was on the homeless task force for the last year and a half. I've been really looking into the homeless issue for about the last 3 years. And it's a very complex, complicated issue. Very complex. And no 2 homeless people have the same story. So we looked at options and Park wasn't even on the radar the least bit. And that came down to 7 locations and narrowed it down to 2. One was on the Humankind campus. The other one was the old Riverside Hospital. Tried to debate between those. The providers did not like the Riverside Hospital option, which was the less expensive option, because they're all located up around the Humankind campus. Not all of them, but a lot of them are around the Humankind campus. So it's like, what do we do? And then the school board announced that they're gonna close Park Elementary. I still remember Dalton came in the next day and I'm talking to Dalton, and Dalton says, hey, they're gonna close Park Elementary. Maybe it could be the MAC, camp for the homeless shelter. And well, maybe. So city staff looked into it, and I think it's gonna be a very, very good option. It's gonna cost about $8 million to renovate it-ish. It'll take about $4 million to get it ready for a homeless shelter this fall. A lot of that is fire suppression, which you must have. So $4 million now, get it for homeless shelter. It'll be tight to get ready even for mid-November. If you remember last year, it got cold early November. So it'll be tight even to get ready for mid-November. So hopefully we can get that done. So the process will be, it'll have to go to the city council tomorrow. We'll vote to hopefully to purchase that for $1. The state has 45 days to say they either want it or they don't want it. So it could be administrative by the state. The legislature doesn't have to be in session. So they have 45 days. After 45 days, it times out and we can get it. Or they can be proactive after just a day or two or three and say, no, we don't want it for anything. You guys can go ahead and buy it. So once that happens, then we'll have to do our due diligence on it. There'll be a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental on the building. So that takes time. And then it takes more time to for the zoning to get changed. It'll have to be changed to probably a general commercial type zoning, much as a motel would be to house people. And then once the zoning does get changed, then we can begin construction. So it's going to take a while. So if you don't see anything happen right away, that's why. So I'd like to start it tomorrow. After we vote, get the hammered out and get going. But we'll see. So, but it is a good opportunity. It's not the Taj Mahal. It's not meant to house people for a long period of time. It's meant to be a stopgap temporary measure till we get them into housing, either transitional housing or permanent housing, and get the wraparound services that they might need. Mental health, substance abuse, getting ID, whatever those things are. So it's not meant to be permanent, and there'll be 24/7 security there, additional lighting, landscaping that can be seen, and try to mitigate the effect for the neighbors. We do feel for the neighbors. But several neighbors live right next to it said, hey, they're sleeping in my alley right now. I'd rather have them in the shelter. So, where they can get help. So I think it's going to be a really good thing.
Where is, JD, where is Park Elementary located?
It's about 4 blocks straight north of City Hall.
It's on Market, isn't it?
It's on, I can get you there, but I don't know. It's a 1000 block of north, maybe North Market. It's not, it's within a half block of there. So yeah, drive by and look at it. It has industrial to the west, houses to the north and east. It's got room to expand for non-congregate housing or non-congregate housing. So everybody has their own little pod or whatever, the bathroom and stuff. So it's got room to expand, and it should fit nicely. And the idea is to get all these agencies working together. So that's why I ran. I wasn't so concerned about where it was, because honestly, I didn't care. Smarter people can figure that out than me, the providers, and they were listened to. That's good. But what I'm concerned about is the management of it and the sustainability of it. We've got to have a program that works and is sustainable.
So
City government.
Nope, city will not run it.
Are the people that are going to be living there going to have any accountability in running it, like doing chores or helping out or doing anything there?
That'll be left up to the management of it. And then how some of us view the management of it is to have a board with the city, the county, nonprofits and business. Hire a president or CEO to run it. So that person would help raise money for it also, but be in charge of the management of it. So all the agencies can keep doing what they're doing now, but just in a coordinated manner.
Who's gonna do the renovation of it? Will the city send out for bids or something?
The city will put out the bids, yes. Or it might be just a contract basis too. So. See,
1025 North Way.
1025 North Main.
1025.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, go by and look at it and see.
So how does it work? Our police, maybe this will be a question for our officer leader, but I work downtown and a lot of encampments are happening underneath the bridge kind of by NASCAR Park. Can those is the intent of the facility to give the officers the ability to like, get all your stuff together, sir or ma'am, we're going to this facility? Is that how it's supposed to work?
Basically, and right now, the hot team, Officer Nate Schwedal and partner's name is
Brittany Thomas or
No.
Graham?
Grant, yes, Officer Grant. Both of them are really good. And they know all the agencies where to take people. But maybe if Officer Kimmery or someone picks somebody up, like, what do I do? They'd probably call Nate. Officer.
Well, I mean, obviously you have to give them an option. You can't force someone to go. It has to be an option, like their choice, because everybody has rights. So it's not something like, well, because you're living on the bridge, you have to go with this, we're taking all your stuff. That's not how it works. We can give them the option. Hey, we have these resources, we have the space available if you want to get help. And then that would be up to them if they go on.
So they have every right to camp underneath the bridges.
No,
We post it and give them a notice, like an eviction notice. Of it, like a 2-day notice to pack up all their stuff and move to another location. And if they don't, then we can dispose of their belongings. Except for like personal belongings like IDs.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
last week, the Supreme Court overturned the Ninth Circuit Court. And it was what was the case, Johnson versus somebody, but basically Ninth Circuit Court says you cannot force people to go there. You can't take them to jail if they break an ordinance. The Supreme Court overturned that and said, yes, you can enforce your ordinances and not allow people to camp. So I don't think anybody wants to criminalize homelessness, take a bunch of people to jail. But I think it gives us another tool to encourage them to go to where the resources are, where they can get help. So enforcement's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Have to figure that out. Any other questions? I'll keep you informed. So I go to a lot of meetings on it. So, the last thing is we have a vote on the humidor tomorrow. Very contentious vote, as demonstrated by our last meeting. Very tough call. Actually, I'm gonna go tonight, meet Councilman Glasscock there. And I brought my speaker with me. Put the speaker on, I'm gonna see what it sounds like. Both of where the stage is now, and then if they move the stage to the east side, facing away from the houses, what it sounds like then too. So how much you can hear, if you can hear, stuff like that. So we'll do some field study tonight. Since I don't drink or smoke, I drink a little bit. I don't smoke at all. So the field study won't involve any sampling. I can tell you that. So, any other questions on anything?
I do just want to reiterate my position from the last meeting. that I really want us to think very thoroughly on our law enforcement having to be the points of contact if there is any contentious points from having that dispute. And I'm really concerned about what that process looks like for those citizens. If there are violations in terms of that, how do they have callbacks as opposed to simply having to call out our WPD time after time after time? Hopefully there are no violations, but given where we are with some of the challenges in our city, I just want us to be very responsible stewards of those resources, of how we are utilizing our sharp resources.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree. Sean has agreed to take all complaints. Haven't you? Kind of did. No, you're right, though. We don't, that'll be a last resort is to call the police department. So we'll just have to see how it is. So I appreciate that. That's all I've got.
Do we need to
No,
vote on that?
no.
Okay, we will receive and file the report from Councilman Johnson. Next up, we have our board agenda. Are there any council members or district advisory board members that have anything they'd like to report? Concerns, comments, nothing? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next, and we have a report from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board with the board chair, Alan, is it Kaler?
It is.
All right, you're up, sir.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Hustle, okay. Thank you. I'm Alan Kaler. I'm the chair of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board. And let me get my notes up here sooner than I expected. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board consists of 11 members appointed by the city council and the city manager. We are an advisory board. We don't make any decisions. We make recommendations to the city council. And anything having to do with bikes and biking and walking. In my mind, our role is to just try to make Wichita a better place to live, making biking and walking safer. So that means we work a lot with the engineering department, the section of the Public Works Department. Anytime that they're proposing to build a bike lane, bike path, we also work with the Parks and Rec department, a little bit with planning, a little bit with transit, and anything that the city proposes to do regarding biking and walking, they bring to us and we make a recommendation to the city council on. That's sort of our day-to-day business. In particular, one thing that we're focusing on right now is the new Wichita Bicycle Master Plan. So Wichita adopted a master plan 10 years ago, and that was actually why the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board was created in the first place, is that was a recommendation in that plan 10 years ago. It's been 10 years. A lot has changed in the city since 10 years ago. And so now the board is acting as a steering committee to review that, develop a new plan with the consultants and with the city staff, and then recommend that to the city council for adoption, probably sometime this fall. Russell Fox has served on the board for 8 years now?
I was actually on it for 9.
So he has a much longer history with the board than I do, and just went off in April of this year. I had a handout for you there on the bicycle, what the bicycle plan is looking like right now. That was actually something prepared by another government agency, the WAMPO, Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, but it's a real good summary of where we are on the plan, like what our goals are, and really just encouraging bicycling in Wichita by making it convenient, safe, and appealing, I think. I can't remember what the other goal was. So, open to any questions.
Yeah, specifically for District 5, is there things that need to get better? Or as far as bicycle access or streets that aren't that safe for bicyclists?
In District 5, well, it's not quite in District 5, but one of the biggest things that we're focusing on and that we're, encouraging is the completion of the Prairie Sunset Trail, which is the trail just south of Kellogg, that goes all the way from Garden Plain to the Big Ditch. And then, of course, you're probably aware of the Redbud Trail out east. It goes along 17th Street and over into Andover. So, but the Prairie Sunset Trail ends at the Big Ditch right now, and the Redbud Trail ends at I-135. And the city is in the process of building a connection between the two, including over the Big Ditch there was a railroad bridge just south of Kellogg that hopefully we'll be using to cross the Big Ditch. And so, like I said, that's really probably the single biggest project that is going on right now in the city. Yeah. All right.
Oh, looks like we got a couple of
Oh, yeah.
comments or questions.
Sure.
How did the city come up with the data needed to decide that we should have bicycle pass? Because I rarely see anybody on a bicycle downtown riding around. I mean, I like the idea of these other paths, you just mentioned two of one on the east, one on the west. I understand that, but to change all the streets, and I just don't know if you would explain how that came
Okay.
to be.
Okay. Well, first of all, there are a lot of people using those. We have actually bicycle counts every year that count the number of people, and there are a lot of people using. So it's easy to overlook them and not notice them, but there are a lot of people using them every day. But also a lot of the changes in the streets that are being done, for example, on McLean, where they narrowed that down, are really being done to make it safer because people are speeding on those streets, and there's also the way that they create a lot of wrecks, basically, because there's you've probably experienced it yourself on Tyler or on Ridge, for example, where they just have 4 lanes without any turn lane there. You're driving along, somebody stops in the left-hand lane and you try to scoot out around them. So that kind of design makes them really pretty dangerous. Wrecks a lot of rear end wrecks, a lot of left turn wrecks, and so forth. So if the traffic volumes can bear it, it's actually safer to have the 3 lanes with a center turn lane, and it doesn't slow traffic down much at all, because you don't have the stop and go that you have with everything else, and you also eliminate the possibility of one person speeding along one lane. Everybody's basically going the speed limit at that in that kind of configuration. So a lot of the changes are done for that, and then you have to, what do you do with the leftover space? And a bike lane is a good use of it.
So how do they collect the data? You said
They have.
How do they do that?
They have people out counting people biking and walking.
The scooters?
No.
Is that how they're?
They also are counting those, yeah. And they actually, for the scooters and for the bike share bikes, they actually have maps. Those are, have computers on board. And so they actually map every place that they go. And so they can generate maps of how much they're used, where they're used, where people go on, and so forth. But so they use that, but they also use manual count, somebody standing out on the corner. Counting how many people go by and what they're using, biking or walking or scooters.
Where's some of the busiest places in Wichita where they're riding bikes?
Well, Citrus County Park is one.
But
Douglas.
that's on the paths, on those bicycle paths.
Yeah.
The, where
Yeah.
people walk.
Right,
So share the sidewalk instead of creating a lane.
well, they
to
do,
Get there.
they are, yeah, but you do have to get there too, yeah.
I
exactly.
see a lot of people on First and Second Street,
Yeah,
downtown, Douglas.
Douglas and Washington is
Market,
probably is one of
Main.
the highest places for it, yeah.
I do see quite a few bikes downtown. But I'm down there a lot, so
Yeah.
I do see
Yeah,
quite a few.
just curious, because I just don't see them and it seems like it creates a little bit of a hassle when you're trying to drive. You don't know whether, when you want to make a right hand turn, whether you should be pulling into that bicycle lane.
No.
And, or you turn from that and you hope nobody else is coming beside you wanting to
Yeah,
turn
yeah. I mean,
too. And so,
when you're driving a car, you need to pay attention.
yeah, same way with riding a bike.
True,
So, yeah.
true. Yeah. Yep.
So, okay.
I just wanted to say that as someone who served on the bicycle pedestrian board for a long time, Alan's a wonderful leader to the board. Every advisory board, in my observation, not the district advisory boards, but the specialty boards, the transit board and all of these others. In my observation, they end up essentially serving two functions. One is to, as Alan explained, advise the city, to take a look at budget priorities, to, listen to speakers who, are suggesting incremental improvements here, incremental improvements there, figuring out the best way in which we can maximize within the priorities of the city council, the aims of the particular board. And then the other purpose they serve is to be basically a place to listen, for people to show up who have passionate concerns, who are upset about things, people who are wondering, why isn't there a stop sign here, or something along those lines. And sometimes that stuff can get kind of heated. People really, pushing to advocate for one thing or another. And it's not always easy to strike the balance between doing that incremental work while also, truly doing what needs to be done in terms of listening to people that have concerns. And Alan strikes that balance really well. So I just wanted to say, good job, Alan.
Well, thank you, thank you.
I'm sorry you aren't my boss.
Boss is a little overstatement. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right, moving on to staff reports. First, we have our community police officer, Kimry. All right, and she's gonna talk to us about some specific concerns for District 5.
My name is Lori Kimmery, and I am the community policing officer for where you're sitting at right now, and also for 11B, which goes clear to Amadon. So I have quite the area. It's mostly everything north of 17th from 119th to Amadon. I brought out just a couple things. So we don't have stats right now still because our crane analysts are still not able to pull data, so we're still waiting on that kind of stuff to happen. But the biggest complaints we're getting right now are basically parking complaints, mostly because it's RV season, trailer season, boat season. Most people are parking those on the street, which isn't allowed. I mean, it's allowed for 2 hours, or unless you're actively loading or unloading it, we'll extend that time out. But parking them overnight or for a week isn't acceptable. So we're getting a lot of those complaints. I brought a flyer, which is kind of convenient. It has a little diagram of their most common residential parking complaints. And this is how we address them. So it has all of our ordinances and a little diagram that matches the ordinance for how we address it. So if you guys want a copy of that, I will leave those here. I do have a complaint at 2400 North Shore about 2 semis parked on North Shore Street. The problem is that for that area, that ordinance applies to residential only. So that street, one side is residential and the other side is commercial. So we're still working on what applies on that street for those semis. So we're still digging into that a little bit. The complaints on 17th Street that 11,600, there's a house over there that we're getting complaints on for overgrown trees, grass, stuff like that. The guy that lives there does own the house and it's been a problem for, I guess, 10 years per MABCD. So when things come up, we just have to let them address it and send him a bill and he pays it. So at this point, I don't really know how to fix that problem because it's not really a police issue, but we are helping or working with them to address it. Also, cars were left on the street for a long period of time. We got it addressed, put a sticker on it, give him a 2-day notice before we towed it. He moved it into the driveway. So hopefully stuff like that. Golf cart complaints, we're getting a lot of those. We address them as needed. Obviously, the biggest complaint is when your kids are riding them and they don't have a driver's license and they disobey traffic control signals and stuff like that. You know, they're zipping around with a cart full of kids and next thing you know, they run a stop sign and get hit. That's the last thing we want. So I think people forget that their safety is our biggest concern. It's not that we're just picking on them because we're no fun, but so those are the biggest concerns we're working on right now. July 11th is our Second Chance Thursday. It's gonna be at 2820 Roosevelt. We'll be there from 9 to 4. So driver's license issues, traffic warrants, we can help you with that kind of thing on that date. So that's what I have. Any questions about anything? Yes, ma'am.
Is there any place in the city that you can drive a golf cart?
On private property,
Private property?
yes. Some people think sidewalks are okay, but sidewalks are technically part of the street. Because it's part of the city easement. So we can give you a ticket for riding on a sidewalk as well.
No city streets.
No city streets. There used to be a rule where you could get them tagged and legal to ride, but I guess the tag office is not issuing those anymore. So at this point, we're kind of up in the air about where to go from that point. So right now you still can't drive them on the street. You can get a ticket just like driving a car. So.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
A couple months ago, we had people from a new neighborhood out on Ridge Road that were asking for the rules to change because they were driving golf carts on their streets. Did that get resolved?
You know, the only complaints that I've really addressed, they were at Castlegate HOA, which is clear out by 135th Street. You know, if you have a gated community and they're not operated by the city, you can drive them on there because we don't maintain those streets, we don't enforce them. But if it's not a gated community, it's a city street, can't drive them on the street.
So the ones we see going from Fox Ridge over to Reflection Ridge Golf Course are.
Technically illegal. Now, do we drive around and be like, whoa, we're gonna pull everybody over?
Right.
But if we do get complaints, we have to address them. And the biggest complaints are mostly the kids zipping around.
Usually it's just you see a dad and his son or, you know, two people, you know, and they're on the sidewalk, you know, and they're obeying the traffic lights and stuff. It's like, right, get from the house to the golf course and.
Obviously,
I don't complain about it. I just noticed it the other day. I was like, oh, yeah. Well,
most of the time what I do is I take a flyer with me and educate the parents and say, hey, listen, just FYI, this is technically a motorized vehicle and they can't drive it on the city street or.
this is more the adults that I see that are driving. I mean, you know, you see their clubs and they're like, oh, well, they play golf or they're going to golf and it's like. Oh.
You know, it's one of those things, if we get a complaint, we address it. We have other things we need to attend to, so.
And it's one of those, I'm not gonna complain. I'm thrilled to see that they're out doing some sort of form of recreation and they're not home playing games, video games, watch TV. So.
To answer your question, I have a meeting on tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Officer Stevens.
Steven, is it Sergeant Stevens?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
we're still waiting to find out an answer about all of it, so. But any other questions? Perfect. I will leave these flyers with Teresa, so if you would like one, you can grab one on your way out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next, we have a fire department report from the Battalion Chief Ritter.
I've been chief back today, so change the schedule.
Oh, gotcha.
I brought some flyers. I left them out front with the other stuff. It's the same stuff you've heard a million times before about closing your doors, checking your smoke alarms, making a plan. The only reason I shared this one is because it has some data from fire service magazines. That's pretty interesting. So you guys might want to grab it on your way out. I won't bore you with the numbers right now, but it gives you a little bit more of an idea why it's important for all those things to be in place and have a plan and stay calm. So like I said, you've heard it since third grade, so I won't go over it again. I want to talk about July 4th mainly tonight, to let you guys know what we're doing. We're working with the police department to make up this plan. So the fireworks are legal from June 27th to July 5th, as you guys probably already heard them going off. The big ones are only legal July 3rd to the 5th, and so this is from 10 in the morning till midnight. That's the cutoffs. And the way we're attempting to enforce this is we have several teams. We're a Wichita police officer and someone from our fire prevention unit are going to be driving around in the evenings. They started on July 27th. They're doing that currently. And then on July 3rd, 4th and 5th, we'll have every fire engine in the city will be out from midnight to 1 because they're supposed to be done at midnight. So, and then we have a plan in place to, the fire engines won't write tickets, but we will get a hold of somebody that can. So those are the rules for that. We have an incident action plan that we use for these things to get organized. So we will be out. We will be doing our best to enforce it. We will be working with PD. There is a non-emergency number that we really want everybody to know. I'll leave this out front. Also, you can take a picture of it because we don't want people calling 911 for someone shooting fireworks. Because we have a lot of problems in the past where that 911 will get tied up and we have medical emergencies, house fires, other stuff trying to get through and they can't. So we have activated this this number, and that number will be valid from June 30th till July 6th. So that's really
Italian chief, could you read that number out loud?
okay. Yeah, that number is 316-290-1011. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about today was fireworks. And then the other portion of that is we tell everybody every year that when you're done with your fireworks, put them in a metal container with some water and don't put them beside your house. And every year we have at least 1 or 2 fires where somebody puts it in a trash can beside their garage. And 2 hours later, it starts on fire and goes up in their attic and burns the roof off their house. Happens every year. It'll happen this year. So we tell as many people we can, as often as we can, to don't do that. You know, if you're going to put them in a plastic dumpster, at least put them out by the road. And we'll come and put out your plastic dumpster fire later, but just don't put them by your house. If you guys read the news after July 4th, this time you'll see, usually it's people not disposing of already shot off fireworks. That's the problem. And then the other thing that we see a lot in the fire department is when drugs or alcohol or unsupervised kids, that people get hurt. I mean, there's every fireman has seen somebody with their hand just blown up, and it's usually one of those 3 factors is contributing. So, you know, it's just like anything with guns. You know, we don't drink or do drugs when we're using guns. Same with fireworks; they're dangerous. We don't do that. So, tell your friends, tell people those things. Sometimes it seems like it's far off and it hasn't happened to you, but it could. So, that's all I have. Anybody have any questions about any of that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next, we are honored that Tracy is here live and in person with us, so she's gonna have the library report for us.
So Councilmember Johnston asked that we speak about the city art for the Westlake branch because tomorrow it's actually going before City Council for their approval. It has gone through the city's design council. The first thing that I wanted to actually point out is the floor plan of the library, because one of the big pieces of art for the Westlake branch is the teen pod, which is actually the center portion right there. And basically what that is it's like a little nook that we've created for teens. There are 2 entry points so that it is actually viewable. And then if you can go to the next slide. Oh, I've got slide control.
I think the intro.
Turn aside. This one, I got it. I don't have one of these and this is fancy. Okay. Okay, so this is actually what it would look like. I do need to let you know that Stephen Atwood is actually the designer for it. He is the artist for it. He's done many city art projects. But basically what it's gonna have is it's gonna have shelves on the exterior, which will actually house our teen collection. And then there's going to be various levels of shelves so that you have a private area for the teens, but not too private. So the next one is, Stephen does a lot of steel work, okay? And basically what he's gonna create is like a design inside the pod. And it is actually going to have kind of landscape, which has been powder coat painted on the bottom. It's going to be a relief, so it actually projects a little bit. Then actually you see all of the little circles. Those are 2-inch diameter circles. There are 310 of them. And what he's going to be doing is he's going to be actually putting symbols inside of those circles. Basically, there'll be like a yellow paint that he will have etched off the portion that is actually the item that you would be viewing. Now, the purpose of the art is actually to showcase the power of the symbol. Symbols are used to communicate. These are just like 10 of the 310 that will be included. But what we're trying to do is actually show kind of historically writing, but then also there are literature things that we want to focus on. And then also, honestly, we want to focus on teen interest as well. Okay, so like hieroglyphics are important for the evolution of writing. So that's kind of where we start. The next one over there is a symbol used in Ghana, which is actually the symbol for knowledge, okay? Then you see the raven, the lightning bolt, the leather jacket, and then also the trident. Those are actually representative of different pieces of literature that are either teens are required to read or they like to read. And then the last portions are actually the gaming dice, a little share icon like you would see on a phone. And then also keys, because driving is a very important aspect of teens progression. And then it's hidden by the City Council District 5 little image, but it's actually a voting box because that is something that they will actually, in around 18, they'll get the right to vote, and we think that that's an important step in their evolution. So basically what those 2-inch circles, 310 of them, are going to show is just how powerful the symbol is to communicate things that are important to teens and things that also might generate interest and become important to them. So there's that, but that's not the only piece of art that is actually going to be in the Westlink branch. We were incredibly lucky to have Margaret Sullivan Studio, which is actually based in New York, do the recommendations for design for the Westlink branch. And so basically what they did is helped us design like the floor plan. As did our architectural firm Haney. But then they also, the furnishings, special wall coverings, all sorts of things. So another piece that we actually consider, it's not going, there we go. Okay, this is the best drawing that I could get, so I apologize because it's got all these little white things that detract from it. This is actually the flooring of the library. It is a combination of actually carpet and marmoleum. All of the things where you see like the circles, that's actually carpet tiles that have been put together to actually create the pattern. The space in the back and the space in that corner and the space right there, that's actually marmoleum, which is like a linoleum kind of material. And like all of that, it will either be machine cut or it will be cut by tradesmen. Okay, so it is art in the fact that it was created by Margaret Sullivan Studios, but that's not the only aspect that is art, because actually the individuals who are installing it are artists. They are tradesmen who they are going to not only be machines to do it, but also honestly freehand cutting it. So the flooring of the library is actually going to be art as well. And then there are other pieces, but this was another piece that I wanted to actually highlight. This is actually a wall covering that as you enter the library, it's going to be on the left-hand side basically a progression of animals that take you from our meeting room all the way to our children's room. As a former children's librarian, I like it because the kids can actually measure themselves up against the animals, etc. And then basically what it is, the entrance, like the first part will actually be glass. And so it will be a clear covering, which is the outlines of the animals, the sunflowers, etc. But then as you get towards the children's room, it's not glass anymore. There's a portion as you enter that is wall. So then there would just be the wall covering. You wouldn't be able to see through it until you get to the children's room, and more glass because we like to see what the littles are doing. Okay, so that's kind of art in general for the Westlink branch. There is more than that, but I gotta save some so that you actually can be excited. I'm gonna give you that. Are there any questions about that? Because I also have announcements because I like to talk. Okay, no questions about that. We are expecting that first quarter of 2025 when we will actually be able to move back into our building. They are making fabulous progress. The architects are fabulous, Haney, but the construction company Key has been wonderful. They have actually they've got the parking lot done. They've got the lights up in the parking lot. People drive by and they're like, oh my gosh, there's room to park. They're super excited. They've got the drive-through portion done. They have the existing space. They've done the framing, the sheetrock, and the priming. Okay, so that they're ready for painting. With the 7,000 square foot addition, they've done all the framing. They have got the walls up that are the masonry walls, I believe. They've got the steel beams for the ceiling and the decking, and they are working on roofing. So they are doing a fabulous job. But first quarter of 2025. Okay. So then the next thing, if you are a library user, okay, you know that since we're part of the city, we have gone through a lot since May 4th, okay? So good news is that on Friday, all of our libraries were actually back using our checkout system. So that is fabulous news because it's kind of hard when you can't look things up and find out where they are, and you can't place them on hold and send them to the library of people's choice, etc. But all of that's back up. Our website is back up where people can actually place holds. So that is really good news. Now we just have a lot of recovery to do because things need a little help. Okay. So then the other things that I wanted to mention are library specific. The Wichita Symphony Orchestra is doing story times and small concerts that actually feature the book Welcome to the Symphony. What's really cool is 4 musicians that represent the orchestra will be part of those programs, and they will actually discuss their instrument, demonstrate it, and then do a performance. And that's for kids aged 4 to 8. They're doing it at our Advanced Learning Library on July 15th, our Alpha Branch Library on July 16th, and our Angelou Library on July 26th. And then this is important to library staff so that we can maintain our sanity. We will be closed Thursday, July 4th, okay? So you unfortunately will not be able to come in the library on that day. Another thing that we wanted to mention is the library has a page called Become an Informed Voter. This is a very important time. We're getting ready for presidential elections. We have state and local elections. That is important that we be knowledgeable about our candidates, etc. So the library does have a page on Becoming an Informed Voter. It provides candidate and voting information for each type of election. And you can just go to our website at wichitalibrary.org. Our summer reading program ends August 1st. Our summer reading program is for all ages. You can be a baby and you can be a 75-year adult. It is absolutely fine. We've got something for everybody, and you can still sign up. And we are giving prizes out until August 1st. And then final thing, if you are an author or you know an author, we have our local author day on Saturday, August 10th. And on Monday, July 8th, we start taking registrations for participation in that if you're a local author. That's an opportunity for you to sell your book to the community, to actually talk about your book with the masses of people who actually come to that program. So if you are a local author or you know one, I would recommend that you actually sign up for that. It's a really cool event. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever?
So that was August 10th.
August 10th is when the actual event is. But Monday, July 8th is when we actually start signing up authors, and it fills up quickly.
Is there a limited number that can?
I
sign up?
think they'll do it on the website is what they will do. Yeah,
I mean, is there a max, is there capacity? You said
there is, but I can't say what it is. And that is an absolute fabulous question that I will have to find the answer to and then share. And all of you will benefit from it because I will share with all of you. Okay, any other questions? No, okay. See, I saved all my words because I haven't been here in person. All my words. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thanks so much, Tracy.
Have a great day.
All right, next up, we have Superintendent Reggie Davidson with the Parks and Rec Department.
Not ready.
Well, I'm not nearly as cool as Reggie, so you're gonna have to settle for me. My name is Gary Ferris. I'm the park maintenance superintendent. So for Park and Recreation, we have a really exciting event coming up July 4th. It's the Red, White and Boom. That is gonna be at the Hyatt Lawn, the Riverfront Stadium area. So everyone is invited to come and view the best fireworks display in the state of Kansas. I think that's what it's being touted as. So come and see some fireworks there at the Hyatt Lawn Riverfront Stadium area. So there's going to be, for those kayakers, there's going to be some security to make sure that people don't come into the fallout zone. Please don't do that. If you're thinking about getting in a kayak and viewing the fireworks from a kayak, don't get too close. So there is a limit to where you can be. American Red Cross scholarships for swimming lessons still available. So if anyone is interested in that, our session 3 swim lessons begin July 8th. The availability of that can be viewed at wichita.gov/616/swim classes. Then also the KUYN concert series is occurring at NASCAR Park is happening, and there's 3 dates left available: August 2nd, 9th, and 16th. All that happens at NASCAR Park. More details for that at wichita.gov. And specifically for this district, I don't know if anyone here was a observer of this, but we did have some pretty nasty graffiti at Swanson Park, and so that has been removed. So that's good news. But if you see anything, please let us know and we'll get it taken care of. That is the big major stuff I have for Park and Recreation. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't think the city put it on, but did you get any feedback on the Elsewhere Fest that happened in the last week?
The city did not put that on, and it was well attended, but I haven't heard a lot of public feedback. So there were some leftover decorations that we dealt with so I got internal feedback on that, but I think it was well attended and well liked, but
I sit on the Old Town Association, so I'm in the district where the Elsewhere Fest happened. It was well attended. The police officers reported they didn't have any incidents at all. And compared to other festivals, events, parades that we have downtown that require a lot of cleanup, Elsewhere was one of the cleanest events that we've had downtown in a long time.
it's good.
Yeah, as far as being neighborly, they were very neighborly. Gary, I've got a quick question too. When you said kayaks, can you bring your own kayaks to the?
You can be on the river in a recreational capacity. That is allowed. With this particular event, there is a limit to where you can go. So there is a fallout zone established and you cannot be within that fallout zone. I do not have a sketch of where that fallout zone is, but I'm fairly certain there's going to be a fire department on staff or on site to restrict access.
Okay, do you have to have a permit or anything to put in a kayak?
No, I don't believe so. And not when it's opened. When the flow rate is like high and dangerous to be on there, we do close access to that just for public safety. But other than that, kayaks can be on the river.
Can you put in at the docks by the River Vista Apartments or just anywhere?
That's a really great question. I know there's public access by Gander Mountain. And there's public access west of Dims and, not Dims, Central and McLean, Central and Seneca, where that intersection is. There's public access.
Sort of like that.
Yes, thank you so
Okay.
much. That it is by county.
Between Cotton and River, so.
So I know those two locations, and I'm fairly certain, Big Arkansas State Park. Is that
Where?
is that public access there too? I don't know. I can't remember if there is or is there gonna be, but there's a few places.
Is there any recommended parking for the downtown fireworks?
My recommendation is bring your best luck. There's a lot of parking down there, but it's not all in one place.
Right.
So I would highly recommend getting there earlier than start time.
Will McLean be closed at all?
Yes. That is part of the fallout zone. So McLean certainly next to the stadium will be closed for sure, and it may be closed a little bit further south by where Dillon crosses.
Any other questions or comments?
All right,
Thank you, Gary.
thank you. Reggie probably will be here next month.
Yeah.
So you'll have to wait to
I'll call
enjoy
in
Reggie.
Gary to make up for it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we're ready to adjourn basically. So the next District 5 Advisory Board meeting will be at 6 p.m. Monday, August 5th, here in this same room. So thank you all for coming and have a safe 4th of July.